Alrighty, I think we should start because I don't want to waste anyone's time. Hi, everyone. My name is Elimor Ryzman. I will be honest, I'm not used to doing webinars. I'm used to speaking to people and not just seeing myself. So this is a new one for me. I wanted to thank you all for coming out, even though you may be in pajamas, but still you're taking time to listen to something that is very, very important. I also wanted to thank PUAH. PUAH does a tremendous amount of work, whether it be halachically with their mashkichot program, financially, emotional support, sending you to the correct doctor, really holding your hand throughout the whole thing. And for me, it's an honor to have a little bit of a partnership with these people that really do godly work every single day. So really, thank you so much, and yasher koach to everyone. I'm going to start right away, and because I have a class after this, so let's get right into things. If you ask any parent in the world, and it doesn't matter if the parent is Ashkenazi or Sephardi or religious or irreligious or American or Israeli or Jewish or not Jewish, you ask any parent in the world, what is your greatest wish for your children? They will tell you, I want my children to get along. There's no greater wish for a parent than their children to get along. When they see their toddlers playing together, they take pictures and they put it on the family chat. When they see their teenagers coming home from school or from a basketball game and they're sitting together and laughing and kibitzing, their hearts melt. And then when they see their married children getting together even once a month to, just talk and get together for dinner, there's nothing that makes the parent happier, which is why Jews around the whole world every single Friday night bless their sons to be like Ephraim and Manasseh. And the question is, why Ephraim and Manasseh? You ask any toddler in the world, they don't really know Ephraim and Manasseh. They know Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Why do we bless our sons to be like Ephraim and Manasseh? Because Ephraim and Manasseh were the first set of brothers in the Torah who didn't fight. Cain and Hevel fought. Ishmael and Yitzchak fought, Yaakov and Esau fought, Yosef and his brothers fought. The first set of brothers in the Torah who did not fight were Ephraim and Manasseh, which is why we give our sons the bracha to be like Ephraim and Manasseh. And the truth is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the same thing for us. That's what he wants from us. And if you think about it, unity is really our superpower. Look at any Jewish holiday. There are people who want to destroy us. We unite. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes some sort of miracle, and then there is a holiday. Every single holiday is the same thing. When we unite, that is our superpower. And in my opinion, unity starts at home. There is no greater gift that you could give to your children and your home, even pre-children, other than having a good relationship with your husband. The greatest gift you could give your children, it's not money or clothing or gadgets or toys or things. The greatest gift that you could give your children is having a good relationship with your husband. There is no greater gift. And I believe it's also the greatest mitzvah, because imagine each one of us would work on our relationships, then we would be creating happy children. For me, anytime I've ever spoken Lashon Hara in any way, it's because I'm not feeling happy in that exact moment. When we work on our marriages, when we work on our relationships, we are creating happier children. That means less fighting amongst Kallah Yisrael. That means actually doing our superpower, uniting. And it is the greatest gift that we could give our children is having a good relationship with your husband. Now, very nice. The greatest gift we could give our children is having a good relationship with their husband. Now, how do we do it? So for all those, I can't see anyone. So this is very hard, because usually when I speak, I see the crowd. And if it's even on Zoom, I see some of the people, but I really don't see anyone. But for all those out there that are married, so you heard this in Shabbat Brachos, and all those out there that are not yet married, and B'ezrat Hashem at the right time, you should get married with a lot of bracha and mazel and simcha and siyata d'shmaya. You will hear these words during Shabbat Brachos, and you will hear Reim Ahuvim. Reim is best friends, Ahuvim is lovers. And we need to be both, because a relationship that's only friendship and there's no Reim, there's no Ahuvim, there's no lovers, there's no intimacy, that's not enough. And a relationship that's only about intimacy and being lovers and not being best friends, that's not enough. We really need to work on both. We need Reim and Ahuvim, best friends and lovers. And that makes the perfect relationship. And that's why tonight, B'ezrat Hashem, with Siyata Dishmaya, we are going to talk about how to enhance our relationship in both of these ways, in the Reim and the best friends and the lovers. Now, before I start, I do have a couple of disclaimers. Disclaimer number one is that mental health, any trauma, any disorder that you or your partner, you or your husband have, that is a game changer. And I could sit here from now till tomorrow giving you tips and tweaks and all these tiny things, and you could feel helpless. So it is very, very important to identify the problem, to take ownership, to take responsibility, and go get the help that you need. There's so many resources out there. Also, be an educated consumer. If you see that your help is not helping, go out there. There's so many resources out there. So certainly to go out there and get the help that you need. That's disclaimer number one. Disclaimer number two is that although I sound American and may look American, I'm Israeli. So sometimes, and my friends all make fun of me and my kids, sometimes I will make up words in English, or I will speak grammatically incorrect. That's probably, I'm saying that grammatically incorrect. And I will say it with full confidence, and everyone's like, you're making up a word. So if I say anything grammatically incorrect, I'm really sorry. I do think it's pretty amazing, all the speakers out there that just speak so beautifully. B'ezrat Hashem, one day I'll be able to do that. But for tonight, I'm speaking from the heart. I'm not speaking from grammar. I'm speaking from the heart. So if I do say anything grammatically incorrect, I am sorry. I will blame it on the fact that I am Israeli. But really, to me, the most important thing is to speak from the heart, which is what B'ezrat Hashem we will do tonight. Disclaimer number three is that I am going to generalize a bit tonight. I know that I'm generalizing, and I know that there are exceptions to the generalizations because I deal with those exceptions on a daily basis. But I believe that when speaking to a crowd, it's important to generalize. And then if the exception comes up, certainly let's be in touch after that, and we could speak about that. And disclaimer number four, which is the last disclaimer before we get started. As a Kallah teacher, I'm a Kallah teacher, and I speak to many women, even in the community, that have been married for years, whether it's here in LA or in New York or in Israel. And I find that when you're speaking to your Kallah, or when you're speaking to a woman who's trying to speak to you about these topics, they feel more comfortable when you feel comfortable. The Kallah teacher feels comfortable saying words like sex or penis or vagina. So I say these words a lot. I do not mean at all to be disrespectful. I don't mean to lack any sensitivity, to be insensitive. I just say these words because I find that it does more good than harm. I find that women who see that women are comfortable speaking about these subjects, I just think that it does more good than harm. So if I do say words that you find to be offensive, I really am sorry. I'm not trying at all to be disrespectful. I just want to help, any Kallah I could help, any woman. We're really all in this together at the end of the day. I always tell my Kallahs, I am not a Rav, I'm not a posek, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. I am a Kallah teacher, and I'm a friend. And that is how I look at it. So those are my generalizations. Those are my disclaimers. And let's get started with Siyata Dishmaya. So B'ezrat Hashem, the way that we're going to start, I'm actually going to start with a generalization because I said that I'm going to generalize. So let's just start with a generalization. See, us women, we are not wired to be great at relationships. And again, I know I'm generalizing, but many of us are not wired to be great at relationships. And I'll explain to you why. See, the way that we are wired, we are multitaskers. Even think back to high school. In order to be a good girl in high school, you have to do well on this test and study for that and be good in this chesed program and that chesed program and look cute and do this and do that. And we are just wired to be multitaskers. Now, many men, the way that they are wired, they do a task and then they veg. And then they do another task and then they veg some more. And then they veg a bit more and then they do another task. So very often we get married, and it doesn't matter who you marry. You could marry a boy who's coming from college. You could be marrying a boy who's learning in Kallah. You could be marrying a man who is working. And they're coming home and they just sit on the couch and they're just vegging. They're doing whatever it is that helps them veg. And very often, us women, we're like, come on, I need help with this and I need help with that. And the kids are crying and come on. And we nag them and we nudge them. And when we nag them, this is what they hear. They hear an annoying ringing tone in their brain. And very often, nagging is negative and it gets you nowhere. And it happens very, very often. And very often we also compare our husbands to our fathers or our father figures. And we forget that when our fathers were this age, they weren't doing what they're doing now. And very often, and again, it doesn't matter who you're marrying. You could be marrying a boy learning in Kallah, you could be marrying a boy who's studying in college, or a boy coming back from work. A man coming back from work, a man learning in Kallah, and a man, sorry, I said a boy. You could be marrying whichever one, and it doesn't matter. They need a veg. And very often we're just like ready to move on to the next task, and we nag them. And when we nag them, that is negative and it gets you nowhere. So what do? So I actually heard this from my friend's Kallah teacher. She said it's a parable. Imagine you're freezing cold. Your bones hurt. You're so cold. And from afar, you see a hut. And in the hut, there's a fireplace. And there's a little sofa. And next to the sofa, there's a little table. And you go in there and you see the sofa. And you see the table. And on the table, there's a mug of hot cocoa and hot apple pie. And on the sofa, there's a throw. And you're frozen. And you walk into this hut. You sit down on the sofa. You put the throw around you. You're holding the hot cocoa. You're smelling the hot apple pie. You're in front of the fireplace. And you're like, this feels good. This feels good. And that is what our home needs to be like when we walk in the home and when our husbands walk in the home. Whether that means turning on the music, whether that means turning on the lights, whether that means the 10-20 rule. The 10-20 rule is for the first 10 seconds your husband walks into the house, you're kind of smiling like, hey, how are you? How was your day? And for the first 20 minutes, you try not to complain about your day. Now, I know this sounds old school. And I personally tell my husband, Rafi, everything. And there have been many times where as he walks into the house, I'm right away complaining about the day and you don't know what my boss did and you don't know what this kid did and that kid did. And it changes the tone of the home for that evening. I don't care how old school it sounds, it changes the tone for the home that evening. So what do we do? What do we do when we have a situation like this? And I'll tell you something, I've seen many women marrying mediocre guys, like good guys, nothing to write home about. And after 10 years of marriage, I see these men and they are thriving high. And I see some women marrying the best guys. Everyone wanted to date them. They're the best of the best. After 10 years of marriage, I feel like they're mediocre at best. And I believe so much of this has to do with us women. And we really, really can't underestimate our power, because I believe that through us, we could help our men thrive. And I think that it all comes down to positive reinforcement. And it's across the board. Let's first talk Kallah. Let's say you want your husband to go to more shirim or to go to shul. Instead of, why aren't you waking up for a minute? Why aren't you waking up for a minute? I can't believe you're not waking up for a minute. Again, you're not waking up for a minute. Why don't you go hear the rabbi speak? Why do you? That's nagging, and that's negative, and that's annoying, and that's not going to help them go to more. You wouldn't want someone to do that to you. It's not going to help them go to more shirim. So instead of that, the one time that they do go to a shir, or that they do go to daven, say something like, I'm so proud of you that you woke up this early to go daven. I would never be able to do it. You're amazing. I want to hear everything the rabbi said. Share with me what he said. When you do that, when it flips to positivity, our men, they want to please us. They just don't always know how, and they need that positive direction. That's with Torah. Let's say with college or work, instead of, why are you not working on your thesis? Why are you not working on your presentation? Why are you not working on your day? Your boss is going to kill you. What do you do? That's negative, and that's nagging, and that's going to get you nowhere. Instead of that, the one time that they do perform, that they do well, is, wow, this is the leader I married. I'm so proud of you. Good for you. I can't believe this is amazing. And then they become those leaders, and they become even greater leaders than you think that they would ever become, because our men, they want to please us. They just need that positive reinforcement. And the same thing in the bedroom. I love when you touch me there. I love when you do that. Please do more of that. They will be doing more of that. They want to please us. They just need that positive reinforcement. And we as women cannot undermine the power of a woman and the power that we have in the home, and really never forget it, because I really believe that we have the power to make our men thrive high, really, just through positive reinforcement. And that's in our nuclear little home, in our nucleus of a house. But I believe that we also have the power to make peace in our extended family home. We do. We have that power. The minute you walk down that aisle, and now you walk and you are married, that's not only a transition for you and your husband, that's a transition for your parents who raised you for over 2 decades, your parents that were there for you through everything. They're the ones that took you to the doctor. They're the ones that gave you medication. They're the ones that dealt with your PMS. They're the ones that dealt with your drama or whatever. They're the ones that were there for you. And the minute you walk down that aisle, it's not only a transition for you, it's a transition for them as well. And you have to let them know that they didn't lose a daughter, but rather gained a son. You have to let them call them for recipes. Even if you're not going to make those recipes, make sure to call them. Sometimes we're so into impressing the future mother-in-law and what is the mother-in-law going to say and the father-in-law going to say. We forget about our own parents that raised us. When I was engaged, I was driving with my mother, and it was my future mother-in-law's birthday, and I wanted to send her something small for her birthday. And I remember I called the florist here in LA, and I had them send like a little bouquet of flowers with a little note that says, "Dear Ima, happy birthday, many more, love, Elimor." Very short, sweet, to the point. And I remember when I was driving with my mother, like for a split second, my mother's face turned white for a split second, because she's my Ima. Now, if my husband would call his mother mom or mother or something different than I call my mother, then there wouldn't even have been anything. But both of our mothers are Ima. And my mother, of course, understood it, but it's just this tiny little sensitivity that we need to be sensitive to our parents. They have feelings also. Just like we have feelings, and just like we go through things, our parents are human, and they have feelings too. And really just to remember, if your husband doesn't want to go to your parents' house for Shabbos, you don't have to call your mother and be like, "Oh, he hates coming to your house." You don't have to do that. There's a more positive way of speaking to your parents, and telling them whatever it is. And I get it. There are some families that need thicker boundaries than others. There have been times where I've been insulted by little things, but I'm a big believer that when there's peace amongst the home, amongst the extended family, I think that it's great for your children, and I think that it's great for you. And yes, I do understand that some families need thicker boundaries than others, and everyone will know what their families are. But I do believe that just like we have the power to create the peace in our own nuclear home, we also have that power to create the peace in the extended family home. Now, with that being said, there is a myth. If he loves me, he knows what I'm thinking. Let me tell you something. If he loves you, he does not know what you're thinking, even if you're very cute and you finish each other's sentences sometimes and it's adorable, but he has no idea what you're thinking. And I will give you a personal example, okay? My husband, he's amazing. I love him. He's not great at gifts. Okay, that's just one of the things he's not great at, which is amazing. For me, that works. But last Hanukkah, I tell Rafi, I'm like, "Listen, this year I'm going to make it so easy for you. I'm going to give you criteria. I'm going to give you criteria of what I want for a Hanukkah gift, so that this year I'm going to get a Hanukkah gift, and if it checks off my criteria, then I'm good." He's like, "Elimor, you know what? Let's do it. What's your criteria?" So I said, "Okay, this is it. I want it to last forever. I want it to be sentimental. And I don't want it to have a function. Like, don't get me something for the kitchen. Just, last forever, sentimental, no function." He's like, "Elimor, I'm on it. Don't worry. I got this. I'm on it." I'm so excited. I'm like calling my sister already. I'm like, all these years, all I had to do was give him criteria. I didn't know I have to give him criteria. I am so excited. I'm like finally getting a gift for Hanukkah. Okay. Hanukkah rolls around, and Rafi's like, "Listen, I got an email that there was a delay with your gift. I checked off all the criteria, but there's a delay. But don't worry, Hanukkah is 8 days. By the end of Hanukkah, you'll for sure get your gift." I'm like, "Rafi, don't worry. I'm just so happy that we're doing this. Great. I'm so proud of you. Amazing." Okay. Second to last night of Hanukkah rolls around. He's not anymore. So I got another email because I had the gift sent to my office, because in the house, you're always opening all the packages. There I am. There I am. I'm so sorry. I just lost a lot of people. I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what just happened. I'm going to continue right away. So I tell my husband the gift needs 3 criteria. It needs to last forever, sentimental, and have no function. I'm so excited. It's the last night of Hanukkah rolls around, and he gives me my gift. And at first, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. That's so nice. And then I start cracking up. And I'm like, Rafi, what is this? And I'm going to show it to you because I'm actually very sentimental about it. So, and I keep it in my bag at all times. It is this keychain. And I'm like, Rafi, how is this keychain fit all our criteria? How does it, like, how does it happen? He's like, what do you mean? It's sentimental. It has all of our kids' initials on it. And by the way, the last one, everything is uppercase and the last one is lowercase. I guess he was rushing. So like the last one is lowercase. He's like, it has all of our kids' initials on it. So it's sentimental. It lasts forever because everyone needs keys forever and has no function because no one actually needs a keychain. And I'm like, you know what else lasts forever and has no function and is sentimental? I don't know, piece of jewelry with all of our children's initials on it. And I'll tell you why I keep this and why I'm very sentimental to it. There's 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is because when men and when you have expectations, high expectations, very often you are let down. We need to know that certainly for marriage and any relationships, and just I think in general in life, to bring down our expectations. When we bring down our expectations, that is when we have true gratitude. But really why I really keep this and why this is part of my keychains and I keep it is because in so many homes, this could have been a source of so many fights. And it wasn't in our home because we communicated and we talked about it. And as long as you come towards each other, you have just won at life. That is what you need when it comes to a relationship. You need to at least come towards each other. And I'll tell you, when you're raised differently, as long as you're coming towards each other. And let me give you a couple of examples. Let's start with birthdays. Just because we just did gifts, let's start with birthdays, okay? Very often you see women who they are raised in a home where not only do they celebrate their birthday, they celebrate their birth month. And they get married to a man that no one even says happy birthday to him. When he's, in his house, no one says happy birthday. So they get married. She's all excited. Oh my goodness, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? And he doesn't really do anything because he wasn't raised with that. And she goes to her room crying and it's the whole fight. And I can't believe you didn't do anything for my birthday. Now, Rafi and I wasn't raised with anyone celebrating my birth month. I'm Israeli. They pretty much tell you, thank you for being born, but at the end of the day, like my friends always did a big thing. So I marry Rafi and he's amazing. But, as 15 years into marriage, I'm getting keychains. So he's not like gifts is not his main thing. And I marry Rafi and for the first 2 years of marriage, he completely forgot my birthday. So I reminded him, listen, next year, I want you to get me a Hallmark card. So he's like, why would I buy you a Hallmark card? That you are falling for American marketing. You're just spending money on American marketing that does no good and no nothing. I'm like, you know what? Just buy me a card because I want it. That's it. That's a card. So 3rd year into marriage, I finally get my card. And it's empty. I'm like, Rafi, at least I love Rafi. So for actually a couple of years, we had a joke that every year he would buy me a blank card and then I would fill it out for his birthday because God forbid should I spend money on a card for the marketing and falling for American marketing. So I would fill it out for his birthday. And that's what we would do. But I do have to tell you, 2 years ago, well, during COVID, it was stressful times for a lot of people and certainly for our family. My father-in-law was sick and it was just a very stressful time. And there was one day where I told Rafi, I said, you know what, could you meet me at the beach? Let's go biking for 20 minutes and then we'll sit and talk. And that's what we did. We met at the beach, we went biking for 20 minutes and then we sat on this bench and we talked for another 20 minutes and it was the best day. So last year, for my birthday, or whatever, 2 years ago for my birthday, he took me to our bench, even though it's not really our bench, because 55 million other people sit on that bench on any given day, but we call it our bench. And he took me to our bench and he took me when it was getting, dark out, the sun was setting because I was born Bein Hashmashot. And he wrote me a whole card and he brought me flowers. And I was hysterically crying. Now, to you, that might be nothing, but to me, that was everything because we were coming towards each other. And that's what it's about. And I want to tell you about my birthday this year because it was still us coming towards each other. My birthday this year, I'm a summer baby, and my 2 older kids were were in camp. And then I have twins at home. I have 7-year-old twins, a boy and a girl. So my birthday this year came out on a Friday. So Naima, my daughter, my one of the twins, tells Rafi, it's Ima's birthday, it's Friday, we have to do something. What are we doing for Ima's birthday? So he's like, don't worry. Tonight at the Shabbos meal, we're gonna do something. It's gonna be amazing. And he brings it, and we take them to camp. And that day, like later on in the day on Friday, Rafi calls me, he's like, Elimor, I need you to do me a favor. Naima asked me today to do something for your birthday, but things at work are very busy and very hectic. I'm not going to get home till very late. Could you please go and buy yourself a birthday cake and a couple decorations, and I'll take care of the rest? And I'm like, yes, of course I'm going to do that. And I went and I bought myself a birthday cake, and I bought myself balloons and decorations, and I gave it to Rafi to pretend to give it to me. And that is also coming towards each other. And that's what it's all about. It's about coming towards each other. You're raised differently, but as long as you're coming towards each other, you are winning at life. Another thing is food. Okay, I see this very often. Women are very confident women. They get married. They marry these men and they're making them dinner. And, these men are putting salt or whatever it is on the dinner. And they're like, you don't like my dinner? You don't like my chicken? No. His mother used to put more salt than your mother did. It doesn't mean that he doesn't like your dinner. And you know what? Even if he doesn't like your dinner one day, doesn't mean that he doesn't like you. You see it very often with food, like he never likes my food. It's fine. Just try your best and you're good. And you could call his mother and get some recipes of things that he loves. And even though you don't like it, you can make it from time to time. Just because he doesn't love the food doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. So that's another big one that always comes up. And also finances. Okay, this is the big one. Certainly, if you are raised in different financial brackets, and since we're very open tonight about everything, I'm going to just continue being open about everything. Rafi and I were raised in different financial brackets. I'm a rabbi's daughter, and Rafi is not. And we were family friends before our families knew each other. So I didn't know about, the Ryzman weddings, and they were very mechubadik and beautiful. And when I was engaged, my mother-in-law was very gracious, and she told me, why don't you meet with the florist and the party planner and come up with something like flowers, what you would like. And for me, the most important thing, I loved fire by a chuppah because I daven better that way. But other than that, I didn't really care so much. I knew I wanted like a white wedding. I really didn't care. And I certainly wasn't very good at all of this, but I wanted to impress my future mother-in-law. I wanted her to know that I also have style and I know what I'm doing. So I meet with the florist and the party planner, and I tell him, I'm like, go big or go home. Like, do something beautiful. I want my mother-in-law to think that I have the best, like do something gorgeous. And they're like, okay. They come back with a whole portfolio. I'm so proud of myself. I'm like, yes, they're going to think I have such good taste and whatever it is. And I give it to Rafi. He was actually going to LA for the weekend. And I was very proud of myself. 2 weeks later, I only found out that I was a little, I may have upset some people because the amount of money that you could pay for those florals, you could, I don't know, pay for a couple of villages in Africa. And I really didn't know. I really, all I wanted to do was impress everyone and make everyone happy. And I had no idea. And we just had to have a conversation about it. And the truth is that I think that you should always be proud from what you come from anyone out there, because I can't see any of you, but whatever you came from, it's an asset to your future home. If you came from a home that, did not have a lot of money, that's beautiful. That's an asset. You're going to bring a down-to-earthness to your home. If you came from a broken home, that's your toolbox for your future. You know what that felt like. You know what that is. All the things that you've been through, it's there for you for forever. And you just have to have those conversations. And you know what? Let me tell you something. Even if you were raised in the same exact financial bracket as your husband, your family spends on A, B, and C. And his family spends on X, Y, Z. And you get married and you're spending on ABC, and he's like, what are you doing? And he's spending on XYZ, and you're like, what are you doing? And sometimes you just have to have that conversation without pointing fingers. You just have to figure out your new way. There's nothing wrong with coming in not knowing something. As long as you're coming towards each other, you have already won. You have already won. And that's what it's all about, because you are raised differently and you need to at least come towards each other. Now, the next thing that I'm going to bring up, actually a lot of Rabbanim have asked me to bring this up when I speak to a large crowd, and that is porn, okay? It used to be that when someone would want to go look at porn or whatever it is, they had to be a certain age, They had to pay money, and people would see them coming into the store to get whatever it is that they were trying to get. Nowadays, everyone could get it on their phone. So you don't have to be a certain age because you could get it on your phone. You don't have to pay money because it's free on your phone, and no one sees you because you're on your phone. And it's become a problem because a lot of people have become addicted, and these are not bad people, just by the way. The way that they make it, the porn industry, the whole websites, they make it so easy to get on. So you have a little preteen boy or a little boy, he's on the computer, innocent good boy, he accidentally does one digit off and he sees an inappropriate image, and right away he shuts the computer off right away. But his addiction hormones go off. So the next day he goes for another second, and then he closes the computer because it's inappropriate. And then his addiction hormones go off. And that's slowly how some people become addicted. And there are people out there that are addicted. And it's not only porn. Honestly, it's any challenge that you have had in your relationship, whether it be the past 2 years, whether it be the past 5 years, whether it be the past month, whether it be the past week. And it doesn't have to be porn. It could be any challenge. My message to you is that do not despair and do not give up. And every moment in this world, there's new possibilities and new energy, and you put in your all. And just like someone has an infection on their leg, they don't go and amputate their leg. They go to the doctor and they get medication and they take antibiotics and they have therapy. The last resort is to amputate the leg. And yes, you're right, some legs are meant to be amputated. And some marriages are meant to be broken, but it's got to be the last resort. You have to put in your all. You know, they asked this 86-year-old woman, what is your secret to your long marriage, 60 plus years? And she said, in our days, when something would break, we would fix it. We wouldn't just throw it out. So really, really, to put in your all. You have a challenge. You're here for a reason. All of us are here for a reason. Some of us are not married. Some of us are married. So we're all here to make it better, to learn, to have a shalom home. There's no greater gift that we could give our home than that. So really just to put in your all. Also, very important, humor. It is very, very important to bring humor into a marriage. We actually learn this from Yitzchak. When it talked about Yitzchak being intimate with Rivka, it says, V'hine Yitzchak mitzachek et Rivka ishto. And it's talking about them being intimate, and it says the lashon of humor. And humor means to not take your ego so seriously. That's what humor means. Humor means that you laugh at the differences, you laugh at the crazy. Every family has differences, and that's good for you. When Hashem created Adam, when he created man, he said, it's not good for man to be alone. Let me make an Ezer Kenegdo. Let me make him a wife. Let me make a woman. Ezer Kenegdo. Ezer means help. Kenegdo is against him. How could someone against you, so different than you, help you? And that's exactly the answer. Someone who is different than you, who has a different vantage point than you, is your greatest asset. So much so that there's a Gemara in Baba Metzia that says, if a man is really tall and he has a wife that's very short, he needs to bend down in order to tell her something, to whisper something in her ear so she could hear him, because she's very short and he's very tall. So people ask, why can't he just talk a little louder? Why does he have to bend down? And the Gemara says it's not a mechanism of hearing. By him bending down, he's acknowledging and he's recognizing her different vantage point, and he's respecting the different vantage point. And that's what it's all about. And because every marriage has different vantage points. When you have two people in a room, you have different vantage point. Certainly if it's two Jews in a room, you have many, many vantage points. And I believe that having different vantage points sometimes does cause fights. But I believe that fights in a marriage, when done correctly, are actually a building block to a greater marriage. I really believe that. I believe that arguments and fights are natural in a marriage. They're going to come up. But I believe that when done correctly, they're a building block to a greater marriage. Because the moment you walk down that aisle, you are no longer a me and a you. You are a team, you are a unit, and you are an us. And that is how you have to view everything. The moment you walk down the aisle, I'll tell you a story, okay? It was before COVID, pre-COVID days. I had a Kallah that she lives here in LA. She got married. She wanted to move to Israel. And what she did was, after birth, she said, I'm going to get married. For 1 month, we want to travel Israel. And then for 2 months, I'm going to work remote. My husband's going to learn in Israel. I'm going to work remote. And then right after that, I'm coming right back in the office. And her boss said, fine, don't worry about it. That's great. She gets married. They go traveling for a month. Mid-second month, she calls me one night, hysterically crying. And she's like, you don't understand anymore. We got married. We went on trips. It was great. But now every night I'm up late because I'm doing LA hours. My husband stays up late with me. He doesn't want to go to sleep, but then he's not waking up for a minute. He's not learning. He's not doing, and I'm sacrificing for him. And she's hysterically crying. I'm like, stop. There is no sacrificing for him. The minute you get married, there is no me and him. It's us. You have to listen to yourself. He stays up with you because he wants to hang out with you, because he loves you. And also, there is no him. I'm sacrificing for him. Everything you're doing for us. I want you to go back home, and I want you to have a talk with your husband and tell him. I loved, the traveling the first month was amazing. And I love that you stay up late at night with me. I really do. But we decided together to do this, to sacrifice for us. We decided together that we will do this for us. What could I do to help you get up in the morning? Because the minute that you look at things that everything is us, then it's different. There's no tit for tat in marriage. There's no 50-50. It's 200-200. It's my 100 and your 100 are mine. And my 100 and your 100 are yours. And that's what a marriage is. There is no tit for tat. There's no 50-50 in a marriage. And there's no pointing fingers. Because by the way, when you point fingers at people, you're pointing 3 at yourself. Everything is 200-200. Your 100 and my 100 are yours. And my 100 and your 100 are mine. I want to tell you what we can learn from children. Because there's a difference between children and adults. If a child gets upset with you, they tell you, I'm so mad at you. I'm never talking to you again. 10 minutes later, they're talking to you and they want to play with you again and whatever it is. If an adult gets mad at you and says, I'm so mad at you, I'm never talking to you again, 10 years later, they are still not talking to you. And you know the difference between a child and an adult? The only difference is that a child chooses to be right, whereas an adult chooses to be correct. A child chooses to be happy, whereas an adult chooses to be correct, to be right. That is the only difference between adults and children. A child chooses to be happy, whereas an adult chooses to be correct, to be right. That's what they want. I'm right, but I'm right, but I was right in this fight. And a child chooses to be happy, and we need to choose to be happy. In our marriages, we have to choose that. There's going to be some times where, yeah, you're going to be the one that's right, but there's going to be some times where he's going to be the one that's right, not you. And it's not about that. It's about choosing to be happy. And before I got married, my father gave me a couple of words of advice. And one of the words of advice that he told me, he said, when you, Bezrat Hashem, have children, they're going to see you fight. Children pick up on the energy of a home like this. Children pick up on the energy of a home. They could be toddlers. They will pick up on the energy of a home. They will see you fight. Make sure that they see you hug and kiss and dance and smile and laugh. Make sure they hear the word I'm sorry from time to time. They don't have to hear your whole big, conversations, private conversations, but make sure that they hear these words. Make sure that they hear the word I'm sorry. Make sure that they see dancing, that they see smiling, that they see laughter. Make sure that they see that too. We started this evening by saying that the greatest gift we could give our children is having a good relationship with our husbands. And we said that to have this good relationship is having good friendship. And again, having to be lovers, Re'em Ahuvim, having a good sex life. Some of you came in a little later. I did give a bunch of disclaimers in the beginning. And one of them was that I find that as a Kallah teacher, Kallahs feel more comfortable when their Kallah teachers are comfortable saying words like sex and vagina and penis or whatever it is. And that's why I use these words. I'm not at all trying to be insensitive. I'm not at all trying to be disrespectful, but certainly when we're going to talk about this topic, I will be using these words. So again, I'm already apologizing in advance. But again, in order to have that good relationship, you need to be best friends, Re'em and Ahuvim, and lovers. And you need both. In a relationship that's only about friendship and no love, no passion, no sex, that's not enough. And in a relationship that's only about sex and no friendship, that's also not enough. And we have to work on both. And up until now, we spoke about the friendship. Now let's talk about the sex. Let's talk about the intimacy. And there's a couple of things that I want to bring up. Number one, by the way, that if you're emotionally connected, then sex and intimacy is much better in that you feel safe and that you feel comfortable. So definitely always work on that friendship and on that becoming emotionally connected. Also, to know us women were again, I'm generalizing, that was another disclaimer in the beginning, but generally speaking, us women were lousy transitioners. You're in the kitchen, you're making yourself a cup of coffee, your husband is passing by to get something, you accidentally touch his backside and you're like, you want to go upstairs? And no, you were just making yourself a coffee. Like, many times men are ready much faster and we are lousy transitioners. And it's very important for women to know this, because I find with the many women that I speak to that they don't realize this. I ask many women, what is your most sexual organ? And very often they will say their breast or their vagina or another part of their body that they think that, will arouse them. But it's not true, because our most sexual organ is our head. And the proof to that is a man could be doing whatever, with touching you in different places. And if you're thinking about stress in the office, you're in the office. And it's very important to know that your most sexual organ is your head. And with that being said, many times, because we are lousy transitioners, people say that it's kind of like we're a car. A car has brakes and a car has gas. And very often we are stuck in the brakes and things that make us not in the mood, whether it is we're exhausted, or there's so many dishes to do, or the laundry to fold, or we're stressed out at work, or we're thinking about some trauma. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a sexual trauma. We're just thinking about that trauma, or we're nervous. What if someone hears, or we're nervous, or whatever, or we're taking certain medications that make us not. There's a lot of things that can make us women not in the mood. And very often we hang out in that space. And sometimes we have to actively turn on that ignition and press on the gas and do things that make us in the mood. And it's different than, every woman has something else. It could be tidying up the room. It could be music. It could be cuddling together. It could be touching and exploring. It could be fantasy. Rabbanim say that obviously it's about you and your husband. You're not allowed to ever fantasize about another specific man. It could be lingerie. And for every woman, it's different. And at different times in her life, it will be different. And obviously, I have a whole class on this where we spend just an hour just on anything to do with sex, but we need to know, and I'm always happy to do that in the future. But the point is that we have to know that our most sexual organ is our brain. It's our head. And very often we have to get ourselves in that correct and good mind frame. Very often your friends are like, oh, let's have girls' night. And you're not in the mood because you're exhausted and you'd rather be in pajamas, drinking your hot drink or whatever it is, hot cocoa. And then you push yourself to go and you have the best time. Sometimes it could be like that. And to know that your most sexual organ is your head is already very, very important. And also to know, for all the women that are married out there, and really for everyone, there's no such thing as a wasted sex. Sometimes you will orgasm and sometimes you will not orgasm. And there is no such thing as a wasted sex. Every sex is a bonding sex. And that's something that I think is very important for women to know. Another thing that I think is super important for women to know, so often we run after rabbis for brachos. We want this rabbi and that rabbi and that mikobel, and that is amazing. By the way, I also love Rabbanim, and I run after Rabbanim and Mikubalim, and I love getting brachos, and it's true. And we all, many of us, we love to do that. But when you're with your husband, the Shekhinah is there. As cheesy as it sounds, the Shekhinah is there. And from time to time, I'm not saying to always do this, and no one has to know. Your husband doesn't even have to know. He could be sleeping. Talk to Kadosh Baruch Hu after. He's right there. We're always running to get a bracha together. Hashem's coming. He's in your room. He wants to hear from you. So you had a great time and you enjoyed yourself, and it's great. And no one even has to know. But maybe from time to time after, talk to Kadosh Baruch Hu and ask him for things and talk to him and ask for whatever it is. I think that it is a very special time. It's very private. No one has to know about it other than you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because he's there, and really to take advantage of that. Also, if you feel pretty, you act pretty. And I think it's a mitzvah. In the time of Mishkan, the women brought all their mirrors to donate to the Mishkan. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, this is completely inappropriate. You can't give me these mirrors. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself comes down and says, Chavivin alai mikulan. I love these mirrors more than anything. It was in Mitzrayim when the men were feeling depleted and done. And the women beautified themselves, and they brought life into the home. When you feel beautiful, you act beautiful, not only to your husband, to your children, to your friends, to your parents, to people around you. So do whatever it is. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate or crazy, but do the little things that help you feel beautiful. You know, a lot of women ask me, what do you think about like women and Judaism? And what do you think about, you know, orthodoxy and this whole topic of sex? So first, let's talk about women. You are Jewish because your mother is Jewish. If you open up Tanakh, any story that changes the trajectory of the Jewish people, there's a woman front and center of that story. It was because of women that we left Mitzrayim. It was the women who had all the instruments ready for after Mitzrayim. Even David HaMelech says, I am who I am because I am the son of my mother. And after Sarah Imenu passes away, the cloud goes away, the Shekhinah goes away. And when does it come back? When Rivka comes back. That's when it comes. Avram was alive this whole time. But the women are important in Klal Yisrael. Even now, in this past week's Parsha, PUAH and Shifra, they changed the trajectory of the Jewish people by keeping so many Jewish little babies alive. Women are front and center of Yiddishkeit. We are front and center of our home. We cannot underestimate our power. We cannot underestimate our responsibility, and really to know that you have the power to cause the peace and to make your home a positive home, to really always remember that. So that's women. Now, when they ask me, what about intimacy? What about sex in Yiddishkeit? There is no other religion that celebrates it more than we do. No other religion in the world. There is no other religion that writes so many sifrei kodesh on this topic alone. There's no other religion in the world, and I challenge you to find me one, that in your marriage certificate, in your ketubah, your husband promises to clothe you, to feed you, and ona, which is sexual pleasure. Now, ona, very interestingly, also means time. It takes time to get there. You don't get married and bam, fireworks. That's how it happens. You have to learn yourself and learn your body and learn your husband's body, and he has to learn himself, and you go through life experiences together. Nothing is like bam, right? It gets better and better and better with time as you learn more about it, as you educate yourself about it, as you learn about yourself and about your husband. But there's no other religion in the world that in your marriage certificate, a husband promises to clothe you, feed you, and ona, which is sexual pleasure. And in our Beit HaMikdash, in our holy temple, in the holiest room, in our Kodesh HaKodashim, in the holy temple where the kruvim, which represent man and wife, there is no religion that celebrates this and sees this in an amazing light more than the Jewish people. So much so that there is a halacha that if a community does not have enough funding to build a shul or a mikvah, you build the mikvah first. And let's say you already have a shul and you just can't get the funding to build yourself a mikvah. You're supposed to sell the shul and sell the Torah scrolls, sell the Sifrei Torah, and build yourself a mikvah, because the center of Judaism is the Jewish home. And we must never, ever forget that. And, even from time to time, before I said sometimes women were lousy transitioners, we actually learned from Leah, from time to time, that we could also initiate. There's obviously ways of doing this, but we learn it. Reuven comes back from the field with these gorgeous, beautiful, exquisite flowers. And Rachel's like, can I please have flowers? And Leah's like, no, they're so beautiful and expensive and exquisite. I'm not giving you the flowers. They're so rare. And Rachel's like, please, 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 can I have the flowers? And Leah's like, no. They're so rare. They're so beautiful. They're from my son. And she says, please, please. And Leah says, you know what? I'll give you the flowers if you give me Yaakov tonight. That Yaakov had 4 wives, and that night he was supposed to be with Rachel. And Leah says, I will give you these exquisite, expensive, gorgeous flowers if tonight I could be with Yaakov. And that night, Yaakov comes to the tent and he sees Leah, and he's, what are you doing here? And she says, I gave up the most exquisite, gorgeous, rare, expensive flowers to be with you. And there are 3 things that are brought down because she initiated that night. Number 1, Yisachar is conceived, and Yisachar is known for Talmud Torah. And this world is existing right now because someone somewhere out there is learning Torah. A Torah giant was conceived that night. Number 2, the wife that laid with him forever was Leah, because she initiated the laying with him. And number 3, which I find the most fascinating, is up until now, it always says Yaakov loves Rachel. Obviously, he wanted to marry Rachel. He got tricked into marrying Leah. Yaakov loves Rachel. This is the first time in the Torah that it says Yaakov loves Leah, because our men, they appreciate us more. when they see that we appreciate them, that we love them, that we need them, that we give them positivity, it actually makes them love us more. And, talking about Yaakov and Rachel and Leah, before Yaakov marries Rachel, he gives her these secret signs. And they weren't, oh, Rachel, you're gorgeous. Those were not the signs. It wasn't like, oh, you're beautiful. That was not the sign. The sign was a word. And the word was Hanan. Because Yaakov knew in Ruach HaKodesh, in divine providence, he knew that the Shvatim, the Jewish people, would be coming out of him. And he said, what is the foundation of the Jewish home? What do we want as the foundation of a Jewish home? And that was the sign, Hanan. That is the foundation. What's Hanan? Hanan is Kallah, Ner, and Nida. What does this mean? What's Kallah, Ner, Nida? How is that the foundation of a Jewish home? So what's Kallah? Kallah is I have a bowl of dough, 5 pounds of dough, 25 pounds, 35 pounds of dough. I'm not going to eat from this dough. It's not kosher for me right now to eat from this dough until I take a little piece and I give it to the Kohen. I take this tiny little piece and I bring it to the Kohen. Now, nowadays we don't have a Beit HaMikdash, so we just take a little piece and we burn it or we throw it out. But just this tiny little gesture of taking the dough changed the entire dough. And now I'm allowed to eat from it. And that's what Yaakov is telling Rachel. It's the tiny little gestures that we do from one another that change a home. Just like this tiny little gesture of taking the dough changes the dough, so too it's a tiny little gesture that we do to one another that no one knows about. You don't have to jump out of an airplane with a whole sign that says, marry me forever, I love you, with 25,000 roses. That's Instagram stupidity, to be honest. It really, really is. I think it breaks more marriages than does good for people, because that's not life and that's not what it's about. It's the tiny little gestures that no one even knows about. It's a little notes that you write to your husband, the little things that you do that no one even knows about. That's what changes the home. Just like this tiny little gesture of taking the challah out changes the dough, so too it's the tiny little gestures that change the home. That's challah. What's ner? Ner is when life gets hard, and it does, and challenges arise, we light a candle. We focus on the light and we focus on the good. And when there is no good and we think that there's no good, we create the good. We light that candle and we focus on the light. Rav Twersky says there's actually a minhag that women around the world, they light not only 2 candles Friday night, they light 1 for each child. And it's not brought down anywhere to do this. Not brought down in the Ramah, Shulchan Aruch, it's not yet. So many women light not only 2 candles, but 1 for each child. And Rav Twersky says, he says, listen, raising kids is hard. And sometimes they are challenging in school or sometimes they're challenging at home. But once a week, when you're lighting those candles, you're focusing on the light that every member of this home brings to this home. And that's what Ner is all about. When life gets hard and there are challenges, and there are, we focus on the light. We focus on the good. Sometimes, here I had this little piece of paper and I made a little black dot. I know a lot of you know about this. And I'm going to ask you, what do you see on this piece of paper? And you're going to say, oh, a little black dot. But what about all the white? Sometimes when we have challenges, all we do is we focus on the dot and all we see is the dot. And that's precisely what we need to focus out, when zoom out and look at all the light, all the good that we have in this home and all the good that every member of this home brings to this home. So the Kallah teaches us it's the tiny little gestures that change a home. And the Ner teaches us when life gets hard, we light that candle and we focus on the good. And then there's Nida. The greatest gift that you could give your children is having a good relationship with your man. How do you do that? Best friends and lovers. That's what Nida is. 2 weeks of the month you are best friends, and 2 weeks of the month you are lovers, or whoever is on birth control or whatever it is. Whenever you're in Nida status, you are best friends, and whenever you're not in Nida status, you are lovers. And it's important to constantly be working on both. That is the foundation of the Jewish home. That is why Yaakov tells us to Rachel. He says, we're having all the Jewish people coming out of us. I want the foundation of the Jewish home to be Kallah, Ner, Nida. Kallah teaches us that the little gestures change a home. Ner teaches us when life gets challenging, we light that candle, we focus on the good, and we focus on the good that every member brings to this home. And out Nida, we always work on our friendship and on our marriage, on the Reim, on the Huvim, on the best friends and the lovers. And that's why when Rachel sees that Lavan's going to trick Yaakov into marrying Leah, she runs and she gives over the signs because she knows this needs to be the foundation of a Jewish home. Every woman that builds a Jewish home needs to know this foundation. And that is why she runs and she gives Leah the signs, because we need to do the tiny little gestures, because that's what changes a home. And we have to focus on the good, and we have to constantly be working on our marriage, working on our friendship, and working on our sex life, working on our intimacy, and working on all of that. And I really want to end with the speech I gave at my daughter's bat mitzvah. When Ora was bat mitzvah, I got up and I told her, when I was 9 months pregnant with you, there was one night I couldn't fall asleep. I was tossing and turning, and then I was overthinking. And you know that when you overthink, then you really don't fall asleep. So I'm like thinking to myself, what do I want the first word I want my child to hear from me? Like, what do I want the first word that I tell my child? What do I want that first word to be? When my child is born, what do I want that first word that she ever hears her mother say? And I thought about it long and hard, and I chose a word. And the word that I chose is the same word that I told each one of my children. And the word was shalom, because shalom means hello. And shalom is one of a Kadosh Baruch Hu's name. God has many names, so one of them is shalom. And shalom means peace, which means that it includes all the Jewish people. It's such a positive word. I wanted it to be the first word my child ever heard her mother say. I wanted it to be her mission statement. I wanted her to go into the world holding a Kadosh Baruch Hu in one hand, talking to him always, holding Kallah Yisrael in the other, and always looking for the positive in people and situations. So at her bat mitzvah, I told her this, and I said, I'm here at your next milestone. And I'm not here with a story or a speech or a song. I'm here with a word. I'm here to remind you of the mission that you got 12 years ago today. I'm here to remind you, I'm here to say one word, the word shalom. I'm here to remind you at this next milestone to take a Kadosh Baruch Hu with you in one hand. Talk to a Kadosh Baruch Hu through the good, the bad, the everything. Great. And then talk to Kallah Yisrael. Take Kallah Yisrael on the other hand. Talk to them, talk to those who are similar to you, and certainly talk to those who are different than you, because you have what to learn from everyone. And then always look for the positive in people and situations. And I told her that I hope, please God, at her next milestone, under her chuppah, before she starts a home of her own, to whisper this word in her ear, to tell her, before you start a world of your own, take shalom, take this mission statement with you, take a Kadosh Baruch Hu with you in one hand, talk to him through everything, from your kitchen, from the car, from your bedroom, from wherever, talk to him. And take your husband in the other hand, talk to him, and Kallah Yisrael on the other hand, and always look for the positive in people and situations. And the truth is, it's not only Ora's mission statement, it's not only Nava's, Yeshua's, and Iman's mission statement, it's not only mine, it's really all of ours. Because like we said in the beginning, it's our superpower. When we have shalom, when we unite, that's when we're unstoppable. Every time they want to destroy us, then we unite, and then Hashem makes a miracle, and then there's a yantiv. Look at our history. Our superpower is unity. And I believe that unity starts at home. And I think that shalom is not only my children's mission statement, it's not only mine, but it's really all of ours. So tonight, I'm going to want to end the evening by saying shalom to all of you, to remind you to always talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the good, the bad, the beautiful. Talk to him from your bedroom, from your kitchen, from your car, from outdoors, from wherever it is that you are in your life. Talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And for all those that are married, talk to your husbands. And Bezrat Hashem, those of you that will Bezrat Hashem get married, communicate with your husband. It's so important. Talk to Kallah Yisrael, those who are similar to you, and certainly those who are different than you. We have what to learn from everyone. And always look for the positive in people and in situations. And Bezrat Hashem, when we do that, we will have a home filled with shalom and bracha and mazel and simcha and siyata d'shmaya. I really appreciate all of you coming out here tonight. If anyone has questions, I'm not used to speaking on a webinar. It was really weird, honestly, talking to myself. I'm like seeing myself. I don't see if anyone's there or not there. I have no idea. But I'm not used to speaking on a webinar. If anyone does have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I will say my number here. My number is 323-695-7636. That is my cell phone number. That's 323-695-7636. If you have any questions, any comments, any additional information that you want me to add, to relationships classes, or that you want me to make sure that I teach my colleagues, in my opinion, you need an army. I'm not a Rav, and I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a doctor. I'm just a college teacher and a friend. And I have all of those people's numbers on speed dial on my phone, because I speak really to Rabbanim every single day, and to therapists and to doctors, because it does take a village. But if ever there's something that you want me to add, I'm always constantly trying to add more things to the curriculum. If you have questions, if you have anything, please do not hesitate to call. And I'm a big believer in this mission statement of Shalom, and I do believe that unity starts at home. So I do want to do anything that helps really all of us Klal Yisrael. When we have Shalom in our home, that's our greatest, it's our greatest superpower. It really is. And whatever we could do to help each other, woman to woman, that's why we're here. So really, please do not hesitate to call. Again, my number is 323-695-7636. If you have any questions for PUAH, please do not hesitate to call them. I happen to love PUAH. I feel honored and grateful to be just to hold their hand, to hold PUAH's hand in any sort of partnership, because I think that they really do godly work every single day. And there's nothing more. I mean, I speak to so many women on a daily basis. I have Kallahs really from Beis Yaakov all the way to pregnant Kallahs. And the one thing I love the most about Kallah teachers, I don't care how religious you are, how religious you're not, women out there, they are incredible, and they're really tzadkanios, all of them, everyone in their own ways. And it's an honor to be a part of the partnership of this link of incredible chain of amazing women. And thank you.